Welcome everyone to Tuesday's July the 23rd agenda session. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Okay, can I get a second? Okay, any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. Motion carries. Yes, ma'am. Did I do something? Just having fun. This is a good day. Item 5A was read into the record last week. So now we will move on to ordinances on first reading. Madam Clerk, 6A, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2 by adding a new Chapter 11, Article 21, Downtown Central Business Improvement District, Sections 11.525 through 11.534.
Okay. 6B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 309 and 313 Tremont Street, more particularly described herein from R1 residential zone and ERM3 to ERAA 2 urban edge residential attached 2 stories maximum height zone, and ERM3 urban edge residential multi-unit 3 stories maximum height zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilman Mitchell, please.
Mr. Chair, I am tonight going to ask that this be deferred for 2 weeks to August 6th to match up with an alley ordinance that will sort of go hand in hand, and it probably won't be on the agenda till August 6th. So we would like to probably hear those together, and that'll happen on August 6th. But having said that, I would be interested in hearing the rules of next week's public hearing, and I'm referring to 6A.
Okay. We don't have our attorney.
Well, I'd be interested in hearing him when he got here.
Yeah. Okay, we'll back that up.
All right.
When he gets here, I would prefer to present those.
But I'll be
when
asking
he's-
for a deferment on 6B.
Okay,
tonight.
thank you, Councilman. We will address that hearing rules as soon as he gets here. We'll move on to C, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance Articles 2 and 5, Section 38.2, 38.183.17, 38.305, 38.306, 38.323.5, 38.333.7, and 38.341.10 relating to outdoor storage and mini warehouses.
Councilman, would you hit your buzzer, please, again? Councilman Gilbert.
We have not received any information on the outdoor storage, so we want to defer this for another week. We'll announce that at 6.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Oh, hit it again. Okay, Councilman Gilbert.
Hey, John, you have the information to it hopefully this week, right? So we can look at it.
Yes, we'll have a presentation for you next week. I've consulted with LDO staff, and just in a nutshell, what we'll be proposing to you is, there's really 3 elements to those changes. 1 is adding definitions, 2 is clarifying how you screen outdoor storage in C2, and 3 talks about that reduced buffer yard for outdoor storage screening in M1. We're removing that 3rd change. So the only 2 that we'll be presenting to you next week will be the definitions and how we clarify screening of outdoor storage in a C2 context.
Okay, so it still will remain 30 feet, like where
Yes,
it
in
currently
M1.
is?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, that's it, Councilman?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. We will back up to item 6A. Next week, there will be a public hearing regarding the Central Business Improvement District, and we will have the parameters on how that public hearing will go. At this time, I'll ask our city attorney to share those with you.
Yes, during the 1:30 strategic planning meeting today, the council decided that they would have parameters for a time limitation on the amount of the public hearing for next week. There would be a total amount of time set out of 60 minutes for the public hearing, for which all people who are interested or who are actually affected by this this decision-making on the CBID would be allowed to speak. If they have property that is within the area, or they have property that would be affected by this within the CBID area. There would be 30 minutes for those people that are in opposition, and 30 minutes for those people that are in support of the CBID ordinance that is on the agenda at that time. Each person speaking at that time would have a total of 3 minutes, and there would be time kept on that at the meeting. That opportunity will be offered during the public hearing here, so that there is time for anyone that is affected by this ordinance going into effect would be able to speak.
Okay, thank you. And then we will also share that again tonight at 6. Thank you, Mr. Noblet.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we will now move on to resolutions. 7A, please.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the second agreement to exercise option to renew with the House of Ruth, Inc. in substantially the form attached for parcels located at 167CB015, 167CB016, and 167CB017, with assigned addresses of 4327 Oakland Avenue, 4333 Oakland Avenue, and 511 West 45th Street at the rate of $1 per year for an additional term of 1 year, with the parking to be used by the members of the Greater St. John Missionary Baptist Church and for charitable purposes as authorized by the Lacey Board of Directors.
Thank you. Let's go on to B, please.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional service agreement with the Trust for Public Land in substantially the form attached for a term of 1 year from July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2020 for an amount not to exceed $100,000 to be paid in 4 quarterly installments of $25,000.
Thank you. Councilman Gilbert.
Just to clarify what our attorney just said, the owner of a building and the people that has a business in that building, correct?
Yes, sir.
'Cause I want to make sure people understood the
Sure.
difference in it.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Councilman Gilbert. Okay, that concludes this part of the agenda session. We'll now move on to our Human Resources Departmental Report. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Council. All right. Well, thank you for the time this afternoon. For the Human Resources Report for this venue, what we are focusing on for the next 10 to 15 minutes is basically our people. This report will focus on some of our individual accomplishments, team accomplishments, and also some development initiative, growth and development initiatives that the team pursued throughout fiscal year 19. And so we do have a couple of our metrics that will be included in this report as well. But before we start, I'd like to introduce the team to you. I know oftentimes I come to this venue and there's a few of us that are here participating, but there's a wealth of knowledge that's usually there in the office working diligently to continue to service our city. And so today, they're here today, and I just wanted to acknowledge them publicly and to let them know just how proud I am of them and honored to work with each and every one of them. So if you would indulge me for just a moment, I would ask the team to please stand just for a moment of recognition.
Whoa.
Thank you. I just can't reiterate enough that the hard work and commitment that each of them have to service and the creative ways that they help us to problem solve, it's just invaluable. And I couldn't do the job that I'm doing without each and every one of them. So I know I don't often say it enough, but I want to let you know that I deeply appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you for being here today. So what we're doing, I mentioned that we're focusing on people. I want to share with you a couple of stories of possibilities. These are two individuals that are part of the HR team. And obviously, I think they may be surprised that their picture is up here and that we're honoring them. But I want you all to know just how fantastic they are. And so first off, we have Shay Jefferson. And Shay Jefferson actually is a native Chattanoogan who's been with the city for a little over 18 years. She started her career, I will say, in HR way back when as a candy striper, where she was helping Erlanger nursing staff to recruit for nurses. And she fell in love from there. But Shay's her first full-time or her first interaction with the city of Chattanooga was when she worked part-time as helping with the summer lunch program here at the city. And from there, she continued to just flourish and spread her wings. Shay then began working with our city police department in their information center. She also later was promoted, and I will say all while attending school and working while doing so. She advanced to our purchasing department as a buyer. Later was promoted and came to the human resource department as an HR business partner. She left for a stint. I think she just kind of lost her mind for a little bit, but she was so anxious to come back. But she was a great find, and we were able to recruit her back to the city, and she came back as our senior HR manager. Shay actually is the manager that represents our operations side. So all of the HR business partners that support your operation team, Shay heads up that group. Shay is a dynamic leader. She's a motivator. She is a great mentor and just a great all-around inspiration. So I want to say kudos to her and welcome back. We're so proud to have you. Now, one of our more newer talents that's joined the HR team is Joseph Sanders. Joseph is the epitome of a servant leader. Joseph came to us through the internship program about a year and a half ago. It didn't matter what project we had, what initiatives were going on. Joseph was always the first to step up and say that he's there to serve, he will help, he has his team's back, and he always greets everyone with just, the smile and the right attitude. Joseph then progressed after working with us as an intern. He ended up working with us as a part-time project assistant, just doing a plethora of things and learning the HR profession. We then hired Joseph upon graduating from UTC, and I would say that Joseph's major in UTC was in human resources. And so he's been with us for a year and a half. Joseph is one of our HR technicians. He is very skilled and talented. He is definitely one of our leaders that's on the rise. And so I want to say thank you, Joseph, for your time and for all the commitment that you've shown for our department. Now, one of the areas that we focused on in fiscal year 19 was on what I call talent management. It was all about professional development, how we grow our skill sets. And over the course of, I'm going to say about 6 months, we had professional training that was put upon was led by the Society for Human Resource Management. And for those of you who do not know, this is a national membership organization that is one of the premiers in the human resource profession. And so through our growth and development initiatives, we had members that stepped forth, and the charge was that every HR person in our department would be a certified professional. And what that means is they go through this 4-hour grueling exam that they have to study for, and depending on their years with HR experience, they take one or two exams, either the senior professional or the HR professional. And so in fiscal year 19, we had 5 members that actually completed and passed this exam. There was Debbie Guy, who's a new member to our team, Tina Hector, Terry Hernandez, Laura Land, and Iris Neal. I want to say thank you and for all that you do. And believe me, they did the studying while they were on their lunch hour, after hours, at home. This is a really grueling exam, so it's quite an accomplishment for them. And so hopefully next update, I'll have some others that have gone through and passed the exam as well. But I want to say congratulations and thank you. So one of the ways that we look at how we can serve our citizens and ensure that we're branding the city government in a way that attracts talent to the city is through our outreach efforts. And so during Physical 19 and continuing on, we participate in the Southeast Tennessee's Veterans Coalition. We have members of our team that attend the monthly meetings, and our purpose for doing so is to better understand the needs of the veterans. We participated in job fairs trying to recruit. We've also provided other services of need wherever is possible. And so again, our emphasis is on making sure that we're able to tap into the needs of everyone within the city, and this is just an example of how we do that. In addition to that, creating meaningful opportunities for our citizens with disability. In Physical 19, we partnered with Orange Grove and to be able to, I would say, attract volunteers to the city to be able to help them gain job skills for future employment. And so during fiscal year 19, we have 20 volunteers that serve 5 different departments across the city. And this has been going on since earlier this year, and we've already accumulated 700 volunteer hours. I will say that we have several of the individuals that are vying for permanent positions within the city, so as their job skills grow, we're hoping to be able to employ these individuals as well. This particular effort is led by Sonia Fears. She's our program lead who works with other members of the HR team as well as other members around the city. And I want to say, Sonia, thank you for taking the lead on this. Sonia is I'll say my right-hand sidekick. She's our executive assistant for the department, but with a wealth of skill sets and knowledge. And this is an area that she's very passionate about. And so thank you so much. Now, one of our success stories that I want to bring to your attention, this is Alexandria Frazier. Now, Alexandria, through partnership with the Office of Family Empowerment, came to the city through that referral. She participated in the Success for Life training that's conducted by Dr. Banks, and just recently, she was hired with the RPA department as a full-time employee with full benefits. So definitely want to highlight the fact that every touch that each of our departments make, whether it's the Office of Family Empowerment or some of the other areas, it makes a difference in the lives of our citizens. And so we would just want to say that there are people that are getting real jobs here with the city. For our safety performance, Mike is going to come and speak to you about that, but before he does, are there any questions on anything that I've shared? Okay. Mike.
Good afternoon. I've spoken to you before about our performance measures of incident rate. And just to kind of recap what an incident rate is, it's a calculation we use to look at OSHA recordable injuries or injuries that are beyond first aid, our labor hours, and that gives us a number, which is a key performance indicator so we can benchmark ourselves against other cities, other organizations, even if they're private, kind of levels the playing field. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics says the average municipality is a 6.4, and our target for fiscal year 19 was to have an incident rate at 7 or lower. And as you can see, we started off right at our target and only went down from there. I'm very pleased with these numbers, but we still have a ways to go. We lowered it an entire point from what our target was, but there was no silver bullet that did this. This was a group effort. This was collaborating with departments, and many factors went into that. I just wanted to highlight a few, starting with our training initiatives. In FY18, I presented to you our training catalog, which was a wide array of courses for our employees to take, and it was a good introduction to the safety training that they need and some that they may want. But FY19, we completed 750. We trained 750 employees with more than 50 hours of targeted safety training, and that really started to help move the needle in terms of our incident rate. Additionally, I saw a trend in back injuries. So working with HR and the department specifically, we systematically changed the job classifications so that employees were not lifting more than 51 pounds. There's no OSHA standard that says how much you can lift, but there is a NIOSH, or National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, recommendation that says an employee shouldn't lift more than 51 pounds. The old standard in job classifications, we had crew worker ones that were lifting 100 pounds. Can you lift 100 pounds? Sure. But should you? No. Just by changing this one thing, we reduced our back injuries related to lifting in half. Additionally, we had some strategic placement of light duty assignments. So in the past, we allowed departments to kind of decide where they wanted to put somebody that had a job injury with limited restrictions. Now it's more of a strategic, let's cross departmental lines, let's place people in other areas for exposure. They have a lot more to offer other departments, and that really boosted morale, kept people here at work instead of at home, and again, really impacted the numbers. I did a wide range of safety audits, including some job hazard analysis for different trends I was seeing in injuries, knees, shoulders, and whatnot. Again, it's things like that that really helped start to turn the ship around. As our team expands, I think you'll see numbers go down, and I'm very hopeful that we can produce less and less injuries each quarter and year. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
So one of the other performance measures that we have was in regards to our time to fill number. And what that is we have been working diligently with the departments and within our own HR department on ways that we could reduce the number of days to fill vacancies. And I'm proud to say for fiscal year 19, our average for filling vacancies is 48.5 days. Now, that's slightly above our goal. So our goal was at 45. But when we think about where we were almost a year or 2 years ago, our numbers, we were averaging rather at 70-plus days. And so this is a significant improvement for us. I wanted to highlight this because the team, the HR team, as well as the departments, they've worked very hard to make sure that we're able to improve the efficiencies and effectiveness of how we're hiring and making sure that we're able to fill those vacancies. And so one of the things that I wanted to compliment was the fact that 90% of the HR team has gone through the peak training. Each of them have had a project completed. For the other 10% or so that have not, those are individuals that have recently come to the department, but our goal would be that everyone goes to peak training because we found that this has been very valuable in helping us to be able to, one, drive out inefficiencies in the processes, but also it helps to promote cross-team camaraderie. We're able to build stronger relationships with the other departments, and overall, we're just able to make sure that the work is much more smoother. So definitely want to commend the team for their performance in this area. So last 4-year update. For fiscal year 19, as you know, we started our launch for the race equality initiatives with the Organization for GARE. And so we launched in February 2019. Since that time, we've had a plethora of trainings. All of the leadership staff has gone through training in March. We had identified core teams, which is representations from all of the operations department. There are roughly about 35 participants that are on the core team. And in such, those members have identified projects, pilot projects, for which they'd like to work on for the city. And so we have broken them into 5 different groups in different categories. And so you'll hear more about what those pilot projects are once they get grounded in their foundations for their teams. But they are actively meeting, and our next meeting, training sessions for this group will be October 2019. And that is all that I have for the HR report. Thank you.
Councilman Gilbert.
I just want to thank Ms. Beverly and her team for the outstanding job that you do. You are making a lot of progress in the city of Chattanooga, especially with the safety. People don't realize the less people get hurt, the less money we have to spend, and more money we can spend somewhere else on positive things. So I really do appreciate you what you do. And the whole team, you're doing a great job. Keep doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to everything in the future being better. Especially, we talked about it earlier for as council about situations in our city, and the GARE will kind of get people to understand one another. And I think that was some of the conversation we had earlier. So I'm really looking forward to sitting down and joining my colleagues or whoever else about a conversation about each other, so we can learn one another. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Henderson.
Ms. Beverly, I just want to say thank you for coming up and bringing such a complete and thorough report. Many times that doesn't happen, but you've done a great job up here, and your team's done a great job. I appreciate you bringing them all out here this afternoon as well to show support.
Thank you.
I'd just like to know who's in the office. Never mind, don't answer that. Don't answer that. It's not really my business, okay. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for a great report, Ms. Beverly, and to your team for doing such an excellent job. But I do want to say thank you to RPA for giving Alexandria an opportunity to work under you all. She didn't come through the traditional pathway as many that become employed with the city of Chattanooga. Thank you so much, Dr. Banks, for investing in her. This young lady's story, she lives in District 9, and she is one that has, she's been listening, taking feedback, and applying it. And her growth, you can see the growth in her. So I'm really proud of this young lady, and thank you all for investing your time in her.
Thank you.
Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks,
Yes.
thanks each and every one of you. Are the 5 key areas some secret for a further report, or?
No, they're not. So the 5 key areas that were identified, there was a title of workforce equity, which under that particular title, there was a pilot project that wanted to work on our disciplinary process, our hiring and recruiting process, streets and sidewalks, community engagement, and vendor and procurement.
Yeah, those all sound pretty good. Good work. Good
Thank
luck
you.
with it.
Okay, see no other lights. I just simply want to say thank you.
Thank you, my
Okay,
pleasure.
and to your team. Great job, y'all.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move on to Youth and Family Development Committee. Councilwoman Coonrod, you have the chair.
Move or approve the minutes, last meeting?
Can I get approval of the minutes?
You just
Thank you.
motion and second.
Chip, we still beefing. Don't get out here in front of these people and try to change up. Now, we're gonna hear from the best department that it is, Youth and Family Developments. I know, we gave Ms. Beverly kudos, but hey, it's time for the best to come up. Go ahead, Coach.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. They're a great department, doing great work. So thank you, Beverly, and the HR team for your outstanding service. As Administrator of Youth and Family Development, it's always given me great pleasure and feel honored to lead this department and to be serving with a great set of team members that does great work and interacting with people in our community. And the division that's going to report today under this great leadership of Rachel Howard, we interact with individuals who are hurting and struggling and come to us in great pain, shame, and agony. And one of the things that we attempt to do is to boost their morale, to let them know that we're here to help them. And as one of those individuals growing up in poverty myself, I know how embarrassing and shameful it is when you have to ask people for help. And this division of Office of Family Empowerment is doing a great job in helping those who are down and out and struggling and trying to find hope and encouragement. Not only do we help them, but we inspire them and lift them up to even pursue greater things, as you've seen in the last report with HR, those individuals that go on to see themselves improving their lifestyle and not being set or being stuck living in poverty. And we want to continue to do this. Rachel is going to come and share with you Office of Family Empowerment's vision, the work that we've done as we have repurposed it and rebranded it, and give you close-up insight in terms of the processes and the procedures that we take in terms of helping individuals and families feel better about themselves and see the great potential that Chattanooga has to offer them as a prosperous city that we don't want to leave anybody behind. So, Rachel, will you come and share with us at this time, you and your team?
Coach, just 1 second, Coach. Man, after you delivered that sermon right there, I felt like we needed a praise, a shouting moment on that one right there. I mean, you delivered that message. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Rachel, for
Thanks,
presenting
all.
today.
Thank you, Coach. I don't know if I can follow that. I'm gonna try. And thank you, Beverly. We have worked really hard to build partnerships across city departments and divisions, so I think it's fun to see when it works out and see that people are being successful. So thanks for pointing that out. If you don't know me, I'm Rachel Howard. I'm the director of the Office of Family Empowerment. I always start with our mission because that's why we're here. That's why we exist. That's our legislative mandate. It's our reason for being. It's what drives everything we do every day. So I always start by revisiting it. In short, our mission is to change lives. We do that by collaborating with our partners, and we work to move families to self-sufficiency and stability. Mayor Burke has a strong interest in economic mobility and understanding and removing those barriers for our families, and we're proud to be part of those efforts in partnership with him. So, Councilwoman Coonron, you had questions that you wanted me to address. I'm going to do the best I can to make sure I respond to each one specifically. If I miss anything, get me at the end and we'll make sure we cover it. I try to weave them all into this entire PowerPoint so I can get them all for you. This is our FY19 year to date. I want to point out we are on a federal fiscal year, so our fiscal year ends September 30th. We still have a couple months to go on these outcomes. We right now have 9 families that are participating in our Family Empowerment Program pilot. We have 53 families that are participating in case management for upward mobility. We have moved 85 families to stability through our case management programs. We've had 135 that have obtained employment. We've made over 3,700 connections to community resources and partners. We've had almost 5,000 families served through our LIHEAP program. And overall, for all our programs combined, we've served 5,662 as of June 30th for this year. So this is just an illustration year over year. The top bar is FY18 and the bottom bar is FY19 year to date. So just a visual demonstration of how we've exceeded the numbers last year in all programs and in LIHEAP. So I want to there's been a lot of attention on LIHEAP lately because we have this amazing outreach team that's out there getting the word out and drumming up applications and doing a lot of hard work. They're doing an amazing job. And because they're out there doing that work, there's been a lot of conversation around the program. And so I wanted to take a minute and walk you all through kind of what LIHEAP is for and the ways that people can access the services and what the process looks like for determining eligibility as well as the process for handling applications, just in case. And I'm sure you guys get questions from your constituents, just so you can be prepared to answer those if you hear them. So LIHEAP is a federal entitlement program. It's designed to reduce the overall annual energy burden for low-income families. It provides a credit on their energy bill. LIHEAP is the big program. It's broken down into 2 smaller programs, which is regular LIHEAP and crisis LIHEAP. So it's 2 programs for 2 different circumstances a family might face, and you can receive services under one or the other each fiscal year. So this is our LIHEAP kind of flow chart. So at the top you have an applicant. They'll come in and we ask them if they have a disconnect notice. If the answer is no, we have them fill out the regular application, attach documentation, and turn that in, and they'll receive their status letter within 4 to 6 weeks, letting them know if they've been approved or denied. If they do have a disconnect notice, we try to determine if they're eligible for the crisis program. Eligibility for that is a disconnect notice plus one of the qualifying factors, which is someone over 60, someone who is disabled, someone who is under the age of 6, or a documented uncontrollable circumstance that is spelled out by the state. So if they do have those things, we will schedule an appointment with a family support specialist. We make an effort to get them in before their disconnect date so that their service is not interrupted. Under crisis, they're assisted that day, and they leave with a voucher that day that goes to the energy provider, so there's no interruption in services. If they're not eligible for crisis, we have them go ahead and fill out the regular application and follow that process. So once we get an application in our office, that's either somebody comes in and hands us a completed application, or we get one in the mail, or fax, or email, or however it comes in. So the customer submits their application. From the day that we receive it, we stamp them with the day they're received. We have 30 days per the grant guidelines to process that application from the date that it is stamped. Right now, we're doing better than that. We're doing about 2 to 3 weeks turnaround time on those, so we're ahead of schedule. Once that application is processed, the customer gets a letter with their application status. There are 3 possible statuses that they could be put under. If they're denied, that's typically because they're over income or they live outside our service area. We can only serve Hamilton County. Or they had a pending application that did not get completed. So if an application is pending, it means they're missing documentation that was probably mailed in and they didn't have maybe their energy printout, or they didn't have their ID. Something was missing from the application that prevented us from processing it. So in that situation, they're sent a letter that identifies for them exactly what is missing from their application and tells them they have 10 business days to get that in. Often also Ms. Ruby will call them and tell them what they need to bring in and make sure they come in and bring it to her so we can get them processed. But we're required by the state at the end of those 10 days, if it's not submitted, to deny that application. They can reapply if they have everything they need at a later date. And if the application's approved, then the payment will be processed, and we send that directly to the energy supplier. It does not go to the customer. It goes straight to the company that provides their energy services. So that's what that looks like. So I have a success story to share with you all. We're really proud of this young lady. Anna is a participant in our family empowerment program. She's been, I think in the last 6 months, she's been hit with every possible thing that could come at you. And she has pushed through it all, and she's stayed positive, and she's continued to work toward her success and her family's success. We had a couple of our family empowerment participants who we hired under our LIHEAP outreach initiative, and Anna is one of those, and she's doing a great job, and we're proud to have her as part of our team for the rest of this project. Councilman mentioned last time I was here that she'd rather hear this kind of stuff from people that are actually working with the families, and I totally get that because they can give you a better perspective than I can. So I'm going to let Sonia Stevenson, who is her family support specialist, come up and tell you a little bit about Anna and what she has done to be successful.
Hello, good afternoon. I am Sonia Stevenson, Family Support Specialist with the City of Chattanooga, and I'm going to introduce Anna Burkhart to you. She came to us almost 8-9 months ago, and Anna has all the tools that she needs. She needed super support because that's the one thing that was lacking, and that's the one thing that our office supplies, is the support that our clients need. Our goal is to push from 0 to 100, just from 0 to self-sufficiency. And whatever we can do to assist a client or a family along those lines, that's what we do. So we offered her the support. She was hit every week. It was like, oh my gosh. And it was not just minor things, they were like big things. And so she persevered, and I'm so proud of her. She's now part of our team with the City of Chattanooga Office of Family Support Empowerment, and is doing a wonderful job. So our main goal is just to provide resources, any support that we can, just to help her along her journey and to get her to self-sufficiency, whatever that looks like for that family. We sit down and we'll create a plan that's initiated by the client, because I can't tell you what that looks like. You need to tell me, and then we'll work together to get you there. So I'm going to let Anna just kind of tell you a little bit about her journey.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you. Thank you for letting me be here. I'm super nervous, so overlook that. But I got to get used to talking in front of people. But yeah, like Sonia said, it was me and my family, we went through it. I'm trying not to cry. But if it wasn't for, walking in those doors and being able to have the opportunity, because, I didn't know the resources were out there. And to be able to have the opportunity to give back to my community, to let them know the resources that are out there, because I'm like a living testimony of what it's like to struggle and know firsthand, like Coach said, he knows what it's like to be one of them families. So again, it just means the world to me to be able to give back to the community and have the opportunity, and I hope to proceed and become somebody. So thank you.
So there's our big story for the day. I don't know if I can top that even, but I'll keep going. Thank you, Anna, for sharing that. I know that's hard to get up and talk. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's next for us in OFE. We're in the middle of a reinvention and redesign process. We're kind of taking a step back. We're looking at what we can do better. We're reevaluating our goals and how we accomplish those goals, and just kind of building something better. So we're starting with a community needs assessment and strategic planning. We're doing engagement through surveys, through community outreach and focus groups. The survey it's gone out to our staff, it's gone out to our board, it's gone out to our community partners, and we've been surveying our families. You all are the next group, City Council, to be targeted, as well as other community leaders. So you'll be receiving that this week in your email. It's an online survey. Please be honest. Please tell us what you think and what we can do better. You don't have to put your name on it if you don't want us to know who you are. But we look forward to receiving your feedback and knowing what you think we can do better or what we can work on. I also ask that when you receive it that you share it with your constituents as much as possible so that we can get their feedback as well. We are going to the LIHEAP outreach events. We'll also be having some independent outreach events for this assessment, but we want to make sure we're hitting as many people as possible. So as much as we can get the word out, please do. It's on our Facebook page if you'd like to share it from there, or you can share it from the link that you'll get in your email. But anything y'all can do to help us collect more information, we appreciate it. The data collected will be analyzed and synthesized by our partners at Covenant College, and they'll be reported to us for the use in our strategic planning process. Our strategic planning process will be led by a national expert from Community Action Partnership, which is our national organization, to ensure that we're aligned with the national priorities and the state priorities and making sure that we're doing what they need us to do and what our community needs us to do. The state has taken a strong interest in what we're doing in Chattanooga. They're very supportive of our work. And because of that, the national office has taken an interest in the work that we're doing here, and they have gotten involved to the point that they want to use their resources to support us to be successful. So they're going to be a part of this redesign and reevaluation process and help us really build something great. So we're excited about that. So then will come the redesign of programs and services. We want to build in some increased accountability for clients and for staff in defining and measuring our outcomes. We want to strengthen our case management programs, create more investment on both sides of the table so that the caseworker is doing more work to support that family and the family is doing more work to do their part of meeting their goals. Clearly define processes and procedures to ensure that there's clarity and consistency for clients and for staff, so we're all doing everything the same way. An increased focus on building not just stability, not just getting somebody to that place where they're stabilized, but building long-term sustainability for families that they can uphold for years and years to come and break that cycle of poverty. We will have, this is a state priority and a national priority, we'll have an increased focus on youth and 2-gen programming. So we'll have a youth work-based learning pilot initiative that Coach has helped us dream up to create an additional level of family intervention that's going to help break that cycle. We'll be working with the parents to help them learn skills and resources, and we're doing the same thing with the youth, teaching them financial literacy, giving them work-based learning opportunities, and paying them a stipend to go and get trained and learn some work skills in the workplace. We will also be leveraging our strengthened relationship and our cross-training with the Office of Early Learning and Head Start and Early Head Start to identify families that need our resources and to connect families to child care opportunities. We're doing a lot of joint training, and we're partnering really closely to make sure a lot of those families, they work with a family advocate and they might work with a caseworker in our office, And so we want those people to collaborate and communicate so the family's not having to tell the same story twice to different people that just can get the same information together. And we're going to collaborate more to help build relationships with those families and to help them feel secure as they move through those programs. We have some new opportunities for family success through our partnerships. Dr. Harwood and I have met and hammered out a partnership to help job seekers that will identify career opportunities and gain employment at a living wage. Everybody that comes in our office seeking work, he's gonna work with them. And he's gonna mutually refer people to us who need assistance from our program. So we'll work together to serve people the best we can. We will have volunteer opportunities with partner agencies for individuals that need skill building or work experience. So we found that a good way for somebody to build their soft skills and to kind of learn what it's like to have a job is for them to do some volunteering. That helps them learn what it's like to show up on time, to do a timesheet, to function in a workplace, to do retail work, to do something in an office, whatever they're interested in. Our partners have opened up some opportunities for the families we work with to volunteer on their premises if they need something to help them grow. And it's also a way for them to give back to their community and help a nonprofit that we work with. So it's kind of a win-win. We've also got, as Beverly sort of mentioned, a partnership with Human Resources, and part of that will be that we're providing those work-based learning opportunities to youth that are participating in the Leading the Way Upward program, giving them opportunities to learn skills as in city departments, as city employees, and see what it's like to be in the workforce. We will be increasing our community visibility and engagement. We will have continued efforts and outreach through our new outreach coordinator position that will continue past the Sly Heap project, and we'll continue to work with all of our programs going forward. Part of that will be ongoing volunteer recruitment, including recruitment for our pool of family coaches. Consistent community education about programs and services, making sure everybody knows what we do, how we do it, how they can access it. We now have a customer service hotline. It's 643-6450. So if you have someone that has an issue with the customer service in our department, good or bad, they have something great they want to tell us, that's good too. They can call. It's a voicemail box. It's monitored, and we return calls in 24 hours. So you can, if somebody comes to you with an issue that they've had with us, please give them that phone number so we can get in contact with them and make sure we resolve it for them. And then finally, we're going to form an OFE advisory group. It'll be comprised of community members, clients, staff, and partners to ensure that we are staying in alignment with our missions and strategic plan. That group will meet regularly to review our progress and our initiatives and our programs and make sure that those things are tying into the mission and the strategic plan that we lay out this fall and keep us on track. And last, we're going to be sharpening our skills and increasing knowledge in staff. I think the most important thing we can do is have a well-trained staff. The more they know, the more they can help people, the more that they can invest in others with the resources that they have. So just a sampling of what we've got going on is ongoing customer service training to improve our interactions with the public. We have motivational interviewing scheduled for September 12th and 13th. We are going to have a family development specialist certification class September 18th and 19th. That's a recognized credential in our field that is reportable on our national reports. They ask for how many FDSs we have, so the entire case management staff and also Head Start staff will be getting certified. We're going to Nashville for a family-centered coaching training in August. That is a strategy to support families holistically and encourage them with financial empowerment tactics and other things to help them build their resources. Case management staff and probably leadership will be going through a case management certification through the North Carolina Community Action Association. That was developed for the entire Community Action Network, and North Carolina is the ones hosting it. It's a credential in case management that just helps teach those best practices for working with families and moving families to success. We have had ACEs in trauma-informed care, but we're going to do it again. I think we can't do that enough to help understand the communities that we work with and the situations that people have lived through. For me personally, I'm in the middle of a certificate program for executive leadership for community action that's designed to help me do my job better and to learn more about how to lead a community action agency. I'm also working on my CCAP, which is a Certified Community Action Professional. That's a credential that is also reportable for our national numbers, and that is, most of the people in the national office have it in the state office, and so they've asked leadership in the local agencies to take that on. 2 of our staff will be getting certified in financial social work certification so they can teach those classes and also work with families in that area. We do use their curriculum already, but they'll be building off of that and creating more in-depth work with families. We have 2 staff that are becoming HUD certified housing counselors, which is really exciting to me because that opens us up to do mortgage foreclosure prevention and to do home buyer counseling and mortgage counseling. So that's a free service that we can provide to the community, and it gives us an opportunity to engage with more people and to help more people, especially since housing is such an issue in Chattanooga, to help people look at buying homes and stabilizing that way. And then we have ongoing GARE training. We've been working on diversity and equity and making sure we keep having those conversations in our division. So Outreach is doing just phenomenal things right now that I am amazed by. And so Yolanda Johnson has taken on the role of our outreach coordinator and been added to our leadership team in OFE, and we're really happy to have her. She's doing a fantastic job. These are her numbers, so I'm gonna let her come up and talk about them because she's the outreach lady.
Hello, I'm Yolanda Johnson. I think I've met most of you at the Empower events that we've had in the community. As Rachel was saying, I have accepted the role as the outreach coordinator for YFD OFE. I'm excited about it because that's kind of like my background. I've been working in community, doing community work for quite some time in social services. So that's my passion. That's what I enjoy doing. So when Coach asked me to do this, I always try to think of a mission. I try to keep things in alignment with what we're already doing, make sure that my desires line up with the desires of the city and, of course, with YFD and OFE. So I came up with the outreach mission, and it's to develop a holistic strategy to implement, engage, and empower communities so that the quality of life for individuals and their families will impact our city as a whole. So those were the things I was thinking about. I just kind of thought about what would be the great, what the perspective of outreach would look like, how to get the resources out to the community. That's kind of how we came up with the Empower events. Just trying to, this is the first initial approach to the community to kind of let everybody know what we're doing. I know we're taking this strong initiative with LAHEAP, but it's kind of like a starting point to get everybody familiar with OFE, YFD, kind of see what we're doing and what OFE is all about. We've had some great things happening in the community with these events. Our team is phenomenal. Our team consists of 19 people. That's myself, Ronald, and we have 15 project outreach specialists and 2 data entry clerks. We kind of, strategically put the team together where it can best benefit for the outreach program. Once we start getting in the trenches of the work, we're able to see what was needed and what we needed to do. We did. Our main goal was to get out into the community and the city and make sure that we were visible in the city, and we did that. We've managed to create 25 field locations throughout the city, Hamilton County. We're all the way up in Soddy Daisy, as far as in Lookout Valley. We're in at the Beth Center. I mean, it's so many places. We're all in the city. We're in the trenches of the city every day. We have a schedule where we're out in the community every day, Monday through Friday, Saturdays too, and we actually do have some Sunday events. We're trying to get to meet the community where they are, because everybody didn't have a typical 8 to 5, 9 to 5 job. So we do some after-hour things and weekend things. We did a survey. When we go out into the community with the team, we do a survey, and that survey consisted of a lot of word of mouth. The survey was, people were letting us know that it was pretty much, they were getting the information through the project outreach specialists, which is, we found that to be the best tool, is to be visible where people are. Everybody can't get to 12th Street. So it's been awesome to actually have people in the community where the people are, have our staff there in the community where the people are so that they can be accessible. I go out to the different sites. It's just amazing to see the people come in to the locations and actually utilizing the services. I mean, we do a terrific job getting out there, making sure that we're available, and we're available at different times in different locations in different places. So, I mean, that's great. There's been over 400 people that have shown up at the Empower events. As a whole, so far, we got our last Empower event is this coming Saturday at Lookout Valley Baptist Church. We're having it there. So the most we've had at the Empower events was about 300, 350 people. And the less we've had was probably 20, 25 people. So it just kind of depends. We did see what the issue was when we were getting the least amount of people at the events. We had to do a little bit better with our marketing and making sure that we get things out into the community. So we're working on those things. We have managed to create 1,095 approved applications so far, and we can actually say that we started doing this work on June 1st. So it's been about, 6-7 weeks maybe? So we've been doing a great job with getting the information out, getting people approved, getting the applications out, getting them approved. We've only had 195 denied, and I think Rachel explained that earlier, how you are denied, you may exceed the income, or it may be some other indicators that will not qualify you. We do still have some pending applications. Those pending applications are people that still have some information that's needed, and we do have people in the office calling them, telling them to bring in their information. We actually go out and pick up information if they can't make it. So I've gone out to a couple house visits myself and picked up information from clients just to make sure that we get their application in and processed on time. And we have 198 follow-ups. What that means is the people that we have in the trenches, well, that's kind of sitting in our queue, those are people that we're trying to move from the pending status to approved status, so we have to follow up with them. Those people they just kind of there sitting and waiting on information, and we keep calling them. We really stress follow-ups. So we follow up with them at least 3 times. Ronald has this terrific system that he has set up. I'm gonna let Ronald tell you about the system that we have so you can really kind of see how we have things set aside so that we're keeping up with every client that we touch.
Thank you, Yolanda. Our system is really simple. As our outreach specialists are working in the community, we make sure we're identifying every person we come across. Even if they express interest, that's us doing our part. I tell our team all the time, we can only do what we can do. We can't force anyone to go through this application process because it is lengthy, but we can control the amount of effort we put out to making sure we're identifying these individuals and doing our best to engage them with our different resources. So as they identify individuals, they have sign-up sheets, they collect their information, and we track this in the system. You may have heard this 2 weeks ago from Workforce Development. It's a similar system that they also use. And from that point, we make sure that everyone at least is contacted at least twice. Their initial contact they're making when we reach them, and then we follow up with them at least one other time. Now, sometimes people are contacted 3 or 4 times until they get the application in. Once they input it we try to fit it around by how long it takes for our data entry to input applications. So they're in a two-week rolling basis. So everyone they're contacting this week are individuals that this individual outreach specialist has talked to 2 weeks ago. And so that gives them a time to collect the necessary information they need to make sure we can collect it, get it processed, and make sure they get their energy assistance. We make sure we give them some type of buffer because some of the material they need can take a while to get. Sometimes people have to get things from Social Security office or IDs or whatever, paycheck stubs, so it can be quite difficult to get and aren't always readily available. And then from there on the back end, I work really closely with Linda, who's the Assistant Director of Office of Family Empowerment, to collect all that data. That's where you see your approved, denied, and pending. Those are from the back end of things. And everyone who is in a pending status, missing information, they get letters sent out. But one thing I wanted to make sure when we came in is not only are they getting a letter, they're hearing from somebody. So that's where Yolanda was referencing. We have someone, in our office, his name's David. He does a miraculous job of making sure he's connecting with individuals to make sure we're not going to let anyone falling through the cracks. That's something I really want to make sure we avoid. So that's pretty much our process. We have a great team, and I'm excited for us to push forward these next couple months.
And those, I think I did mention that our last Empower events, I hope y'all can really get to see what the Empower events is about and the impact that we're doing in the community. I think Rachel did put some highlight on the things that we're doing as far as an outreach. That was one of the missing components that we do see now that we've highlighted in the Office of Family Empowerment, really hitting the trenches of the work and making sure that that everyone understands what we do, how we do it, and when we do it. It was just beautiful. I want to tell you a story about one of the outreach special, the outreach team really impacts the community, should I say. One day I came into the office, this was after the 4th of July. It was a family that was actually referred to us from EPB. They were referred to the Office of Family Empowerment to get assistance. Well, the Office of Family Empowerment closes at 12, right, on Fridays. So we were there. Of course, the outreach team was there, so they were able to get in contact with us. When I walked into the office, I met 2 of the outreach specialists, actually full of tears, crying. It was a family there, a husband and a wife. They were there. The husband was diagnosed with some type of internal disease. He couldn't work anymore. The mom, she was having some issues, and they were just trying to make ends meet, trying to make life work for them. So they've never had any type of services before. They thought it was a fraud at first. It was because they were like, who's going to help you with your light bill? They've never heard of it. So they actually came to us. We were able to, they came up to the Etny building. That's where we are. They came there. We were able to help them with so many different things, give them so many resources. The dad didn't have insurance because he didn't have a job anymore. Mom was laid off of work. She was actually dealing with some things internally to where it was showing on her body. And I was thinking it was just stress. That was just stressing her out. And I mean, we all just sat there and was able to just love on that family and provide them with the right resources that they needed to help them move forward. We were actually able to make some great contacts, some resources for them. We provided them with a way to work. We provided them with insurance, a way to seek after insurance. Food. It was just so many things we done for them. And those were the things, I don't know if you don't have those extra components in place for outreach and letting people know. That just goes to show how important and how impactful it is to have that outreach component in the department. So I just thought that was really great for us to be able to be an extension and for you to really see the impact that the Office of Family Empowerment plays on the community as a whole.
Thank you, Yolanda. They're doing awesome work every day. They go out there and I mean, it's amazing. I don't know how they keep up with all this. It's amazing. But they're killing it. They're amazing. So just a couple notes. Our next Light Heap event, as she mentioned, is this Saturday at Lookout Valley Baptist Church from 10 to noon. Our community needs assessment is ongoing through the end of August. And lastly, we have Bridges to Sustainable Communities workshop on August 14th. That's from 9 to 4 at the FJC. All of you are cordially invited as community leaders. We've done 2 Bridges Out of Poverty sessions so far for service providers and our staff and the people that are working in the trenches with families. This last session is designed for the people that are getting stuff done. The facilitator asked me he wants the mayor, he wants Coppinger, he wants y'all, he wants the county commission, he wants Dr. Johnson, he wants the movers and the shakers there to help us really start figuring out how we're going to attack the problems surrounding generational poverty in our community. So we're excited about it. The morning will be a long session, not a very long session, a couple hours, just going over the program and having a chance to learn about what it's about. And if you're able to stay for the afternoon, there's going to be some collaborative stuff, some group thinking and sharing information. So we're really excited. I hope you will all be able to come. You'll all be getting a formal invitation. Those are going out either end of this week or beginning of next week. But we would love to have you all there and have your input to help us change the conversation around poverty in Chattanooga. I have a happy, sad note to end on. I don't know how many of y'all know Mr. Thomas, but Thomas Smith has been with us for 37 years. He has worked in Light Heap for, I guess, almost all those 37 years. Thomas has been his whole career helping people and making sure they have what they need. And he retired July 1st. He's going to do Thomas now. He's out seeing the world and doing whatever. So he's doing stuff for him now. And we're excited for him. We miss him. A lot of the clients miss him, but we're excited for him. And I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge him and all his years of service to the city. And that's all I got. Questions?
Thank you, Rachel. We got a few questions here. Councilman Gilbert.
Thank you, Chair. I got a couple of questions. Is some of this program is grant funded, correct?
Everything is grant funded, yes, sir.
Do we have a plan after the grant is over with to continue the work?
These grants are block grants. We've had the Community Services Block Grant for 40-something years and LIHEAP for 30-something years. They're distributed based on, there's a formula based on the poverty rate, the community size, and I think unemployment in the area, and funds are distributed based on that. So it's nothing we have to apply for or continue to ask for. We just do a plan every year and we get the allocation unless the federal government takes the money out of the budget.
And I appreciate the follow-up. I think follow-up is the key to a success because a lot of people get behind and the follow-up does help. But one of the things I'm gonna add, Coach, I'm gonna add something to you. I hate to add more work to you, but I'm gonna ask. This year coming is a census coming up, and since you reach so many people that need to fill out the application for the census, can we put your team with applications in the future coming up so they can fill out, so they can get more help from federal, because it's based off the census where money goes. And if we get the right people filling out these sheets, then we get the money going to the right individual instead of going to places that it shouldn't go. So again, I hate to add more work to you, Coach, but I think it's kind of a win-win if they already have the captured people there, that we can fill out the forms and help to fill out the form. Because the form is not an easy form to fill out, and so they can guide them through so we get more accurate on the census.
Yes, I think we're meeting and planning to meet even more with Tyler and his team about the census piece and seeing what we can do to collaborate and to be a part of the strategy to make sure we capture as much as we can for the needs of our citizens in Chattanooga for the census benefits.
I appreciate it, 'cause that means a lot. I mean, in the past, we just don't capture everything we need to capture. And this is an opportunity, since you see so many people, that we can get them on that census and try to get more funds to them. I do appreciate it.
We're also working with the economic and community development piece on the workforce development, looking at the individuals that we have on our team now, outreach, trying to see how we can collaborate, because they have an outreach need and we're already doing it and rocking it pretty good. So we're dialoguing, trying to see how we can collaborate as divisions to work together to see if we can get more out of what we're already doing together.
I appreciate it, Coach. You know, many times I done said, we got a lot of resources in the city, but people just don't know, and you actually taking that effort to start talking to other departments. I know you talk to HR and other departments to see how y'all can come together to serve the city of Chattanooga, so I do appreciate that too.
And one of the things Rachel and I have been doing together is dialoguing with the energy sources, and some of those energy sources have great restrictions on the funding, and we're trying to get them to loosen up the restrictions, because sometimes it's not the energy support that they need, and if we could use dollars differently or a little more loosely, we could probably help a lot more people. So we're pushing the envelope a little bit, asking state, local, and gas companies about how we can use those dollars more strategically to help more families, especially if they don't need the restricted dollars that we have.
Thank you, sir.
And Mara is going to help us with that.
All right, Mar.
There you go, Coach. Appreciate it.
You know, Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Rachel. What is our allotment of money in our grant for the LIHEAP program?
For this year, I don't know the exact number. We had about 5.8 million because we got a double allocation. Typically, we get around 2.5 to 3, depending on, again, the formula and what is allocated.
We got more because of what?
They gave us a double allocation this year. So what happened with LIHEAP money was they had a lot of extra money from previous fiscal years that had to be spent. So the way they decided to spend that was to give it to the agencies, which is, it was another full amount of a grant, and give it to the agencies and have us spend this money and get out in the communities. That's why we've been able to do this outreach and been able to go out and reach so many people, is because we have all this extra stuff.
It's my understanding we have basically the calendar year, well, when I say the calendar year, till September, right?
Yes, sir.
The calendar year that the federal government goes by
Yes, sir.
to spend that money.
Yes, sir.
Do you know how much of that 5.8 we've been able to allot?
I know that in services, we've spent over 2.5 of it.
Services as in
As in
electric,
client assistance, yes, sir.
we've spent how much?
About 2.5.
Okay.
And I can get exact numbers. I can have fiscal run those for us and share those with y'all.
So is there, I don't know if this is the right way, is there something preventing us from giving out that whole 5 million? Is it the restrictions that's placed on us, or what's?
Well, some of that is salaries, benefits, indirect costs, space costs. It's not, all of that doesn't go to assistance. So what the part for it we have for assistance is about 4.2. So
Okay.
we're on, I think we're doing a good job with outreach. I think we're on track to get pretty close to spending that, if not spending it all for sure.
So do we actually put somebody in the queue? So I noticed one of the slides, as far as the LAHEAP applications, there's been about, well, nearly 1,900, 1877, and that's everybody that's been approved, pending, denied, yada, yada.
Those
But
are the
this-
ones that Yolanda's team was.
Do what?
That's since May 1st from the outreach team.
That's just from May 1st.
Yeah.
So my question is, does that number, or what number would include everybody that sort of walks through the door? I mean, I guess, does anybody walk out of the door without their application being filed or started a process, or?
If they turn it in, we will process it. We won't accept an application in person if it's not complete, doesn't have everything attached to it, because that needs to have all the documentation attached to it. But any application we receive from anyone that walks in the door will get processed according to our plan.
So if it's not complete, how are we helping them get the information that they need for the documents?
We do what we can in the office. If we're able to pull their income from the state SNAP system, from the food stamp system, we will pull it if we're able to get that, and the socials that way. We try to do what we can to help them, get on our computers, our computer lab, and download check stubs if they need to. We can call EPB at times and see if they'll send us the account history, so that if it's somebody, especially elderly, that can't get down there, we'll do it for them. And we have Yolanda's staff, and we've got staff in our office that call people that are in pending status and remind them and let them know what they need to bring in and try to connect.
So the follow-ups that we were talking about earlier, does that apply to even those that haven't turned in all their documentation?
Yes.
I mean, okay. Do we know what kind of rate or how we're able to help the people that don't have all their documentation? So what's the documentation look like?
Well, and it's a lot. They don't make it easy to apply for LIHEAP. You have to have an application. You have to have proof of social security numbers for every single person in the household.
Proof as in a card?
Either a card, it has to be either a card, it has to come from either the state of Tennessee, from the benefit system, or from the Social Security Administration. We can't accept anything else with social on it. So they're very strict about that. Proof of citizenship, so for the head of household, so that's like a driver's license, birth certificate, state ID. If they're a veteran, we have to have documentation of that. We have to have 8 weeks proof of income for everybody over 18 in the household. We have to have an account history for the past 12 months from the energy provider. And if they live in Section 8 housing, we have to have additional documentation from the housing authority, documenting their utility allowance. So it's a lot.
Okay. And on your goals, you had long-term sustainability, I guess, of being able to sustain yourself long-term. And I've read or heard somewhere that it takes actually about 3 generations to break the poverty cycle.
Oh, yeah.
So how do we address being able to break? And to me, that's being sustainable. How do we track that? How do we monitor that far in, that we're actually creating sustainability for some of these individuals?
You mean for 3 generations, or how are we? We're building in what we can to, we're going to have stricter measures, and we're going to have more follow-up that we're going to do with families. We're also going to work with them longer. We're not going to, our case management programs historically have been about 6 months to a year, which is not enough time to, you might stabilize the family in that time and get them to a place where they're stable, but how long is that going to last? So our goal is to make sure that we're working with them more intensely for a longer term, and that we're also working with the youth in this youth initiative, and also with the young children with early learning, to make sure that we're hitting all the generations and that we're trying to do what we can to break the cycle at each level.
And I would say to that, Councilman, one of the things that we're trying to do in our whole process, the government can only do so much. We're trying to empower these families to take responsibility for themselves, to be inspired and motivated as they get help, as we're trying to help them. But they take responsibility and believe in themselves and say, we can do this, and have ownership of their own lives and quit being so dependent on other people or even the federal government. We want to move them past that they take full ownership of their lives. We want to help people that need help. We know that we're here for that, and we're going to do everything we can. But ultimately, we want people to take that responsibility for their own lives and rise above and soar, to take responsibility to be able to be self-sufficient for themselves, and then teach the next generation of their family. I know it's doable because I did it. I'm a product of poverty, and I know how I was inspired and motivated to take responsibility for my life. And any and everybody can do that with the right support system, and that's what we're trying to provide, a support system that elevates people to see life differently and encourage them to be more responsible for their futures.
Thank you, Chair.
Got any more? And we got a couple more questions, but I just got to say this, Coach. You know, I belong to a Baptist church, and when they get just in that gut, and you get your shoe, you take your shoe off, and you throw it up there on the thing. I feel like you came with the word today. I don't know, hey, I don't know what happened, but you done. Hey, thank you, Coach. That
Can I
was
drop
needed.
the mic?
That you could drop it. You drop. Councilman Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. If any, do we have a number like the city? What portion of funding do we add as the city of Chattanooga to family empowerment and what you guys have going on? Is it through the YFD budget or?
We're
So,
grant funded.
no money from the city?
We get, in the city charter, I guess, there's a 25,000 grant we get, or not grant, but allocation we get every year for, it's called city general relief. We can use that for residents within city limits.
Mm-hmm.
We use that in certain crisis situations, but that's all we get from the city. Everything else is grants.
So only thing we fund is 25,000, rest is grants. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any more questions? That's it. Rachel, thank you. I appreciate you did a great job.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed. I got a couple of questions. What I heard Ronald say something about the can. What's the can?
Come on, Ronald.
CAN is a software we use. It helps us keep track of all of our clients we come in contact with. It has a lot of different functions. Our team has been very well trained on it. They are able to document every conversation they have. So if another outreach specialist just so happens to come in contact with the individual, they can go back in the software and see where they are at the process. They do a great job of documenting, so we never are losing track of that applicant in that process throughout their application process. It's the same application that workforce development uses.
Oh, okay. So it's that new millennial stuff, technology. Okay. And then the work-based learning. How do people become a part of that?
Well, right now, we're looking at the youth and the families that we're already serving. That's a built-in place to start, and that gives us a built-in two-generation approach right there. We're also going to reach out to the school system. Coach has got great partnerships with the school system and all the other schools, so we're going to try to bring in people from those schools as well, but we're going to start with the families that we're serving because we're already working with those families. We know what needs they have, and if we can intervene with their children, that's a good place to start.
Thank you. And then also thank you for addressing the customer service
Yes, ma'am.
issues. I had a lot of complaints about that. So I'll make sure to pass this information on for the hotline. But I know constituents in District 9, they rather talk face to face
Yeah.
and complain, or some may come down to the here at the city council, but don't take offense to it. I mean, that's just their process. But I will encourage them to utilize this number.
Thank you.
I'll give that to them. And I also appreciate the fact that you all are addressing the social detriments of health. When you look at, income, social status, social support, healthy behavioral patterns, those things, like it affect people everyday lives. And when we begin a discussion about poverty, a lot of people want to stray away from it because they don't even understand that they live in poverty. Many don't even know what poverty is because they think the way that they're living, that's just the way it's supposed to be. And it's hard to break those cycles if this is the environment that you've become accustomed to. I understand it. I've lived in it. Grateful that I'm no longer a part of that. But it is very important that we continue to empower families to not just live and depend on the system.
Right.
We can no longer operate that. And I think Dr. David Banks, he says it best, is that you have to operate your lives daily with the kingdom mindset. Like you have to have a whole holistic approach when it comes to bettering the person. And Miss Anna, I'm most definitely proud of her. Like,
We
it
are
takes
too.
a lot to, come from being in a space that you were in to coming in front of us to deliver your story. I felt it. I felt it because I was once in those shoes, but continue to strive and stay focused. Everybody here is here to help you and to move you, guide you in the direction that you need to be. When Miss Yolanda, you shared the story about the older guy, like that was just, man, powerful. That's the thing that people need to see, the work that we're doing with Office of Family Empowerment. And we don't often talk about it as council people, but once we got a hold to the story, he provided a job opportunity for the guy. So it's a lot of things that we even do behind the scene. I'm about to start crying because, it's just, this was one of the most powerful reports from Office of Family of Empowerment today, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Continue to bless our families and empower them to achieve their goals and desires of what they have to do in life. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Oh,
Well, I just wanted to ask you a quick question.
Bird.
After you did that, I was going to just ask you later. But if the city independently, could you get that 5.8 million by not being affiliated with the city, or being affiliated with the city helps in getting that grant that you get? Because if you wasn't affiliated with the city, could you do it independently and still get the financing?
Those funds are awarded to community action agencies, and so we at YFD are a community action agency, and that's how we're eligible to apply or to receive those funds. And that's just part of that state allocation that goes to all the CAAs in the state and the network.
So any community,
Well, they have to be a national community action agency and part of the community action partnership.
national, gotcha. Thank you.
Mhm.
all right, so our committee meeting is adjourned. Rachel, I'm finna come give you a hug. Thank you. So our Public Works Committee.
Can I get approval of minutes? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? You want your phone? Let's go start using it. Well, guess we'll let HR wait on that here.
Yeah, at least.
Justin, you want to come on up? Public Works and Transportation. You ever heard of it? Wow. Take it outside. Great job, Coach. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. All right, what we're dealing with today with Public Works, today, Tuesday, July 23rd, we have an ordinance on final reading that's already been read into the record and voted on one time. And unless there's any questions, we'll move right past that. And we'll go on to resolutions 7C.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to execute the consent to assignment of all purchase orders for vendor number 867378, Lane Inliner LLC to Granite Inliner LLC, relative to the following purchase orders: Friars Branch Interceptor and Basin Improvements, contract number W12029-201, PO 543874, Friars Branch South Chickamauga Creek 5 Rehab, contract number W15002-201, PO 548493, and sanitary sewer cured in place pipelining, PO 545994.
Councilman Byrd, I see your light. Is that from the previous committee? Okay. Thank you. All right, I see no lights. Please read 7D.
A resolution authorizing the installation of an appropriately sized transformer located at the Citico Pump Station to be fully installed equipment by the Electric Power Board in the amount of $39,908.38 and maintain the equipment for a lease rate of $637.50 per month over a 5-year renewable lease agreement.
See, this is revised. What had to be revised about the original version?
Just the size of the transformer.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's a big transformer.
It's,
Got bigger or smaller?
it's appropriately sized.
Good answer. I like it. I like it. Okay, we're going to move on to next week, Tuesday, July 30th. Resolutions, please read 7C.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 1 final for JDH Company, Inc., relative to contract number Y17013201, replacement roofing system for North Chattanooga YFD Center Building for an increased amount of $8,650 for a revised contract amount of $40,780.
You okay, Councilman? Is that a question? Is that in the form of a question, or is it just a statement of confidence? Okay. All right, please read F.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 1 final for Clinical Construction of Tennessee, Inc., relative to contract number R16015-201 and R17002-201, paving at Irwin Riverfront Marina parking lot and park maintenance building for an increased amount of $12,991.02 for a revised contract amount of $195,190.32.
All right, thank you. Please read G.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to execute a sales order with the Electric Power Board concerning the Warner Park Field House and the remodeled Friends of the Zoo facility located at 301 North Holtzclaw Avenue in the amount of $40,915.49.
You okay? All right, well, that's all we have on the agenda.
Thanks, sir.
Anybody have any questions of me? Oh, wait a minute, Councilman Gilbert.
Yeah, I have a question. It's been several months since we denied the pest control.
Yes, sir.
And are we doing anything currently to manage the issues currently? And if we are, what that is? And how long it's going to be for us to get the language to get enough pest control?
Do you want to speak to that, Bill? Bill Payne's been working on that from our facility side. So I'll let Bill speak to it. Thank you.
We've worked with the purchasing department, and we have gotten a purchase order in place for temporary pest control at the YFD centers, while we went back and relooked at those specifications for the blanket contract, and the bids for the blanket contract open tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Who's the person doing it currently, or will be doing it currently for Newfoundland Development?
I believe the current temporary PO, the only company that would provide us a quote was Kirkland's, Kirkland's Pest Control.
That's one we already have, we used to have?
Yes, sir. They were the prior vendor, yes.
So we use the one we denied to continualization until we find a bid, correct?
Yes, on a temporary basis, that's what we're doing. We're also, for this bid, for this permanent bid, or for the blanket bid, it's combining a separate rodent control along with pest control into a single contract instead of having two different vendors for two different services. So tomorrow's bid opening will be for the combined blanket of both of those services together. The rodent control was due to be rebid as well, so they've just been combined into a single contract.
So how long the other company been working for us?
Which,
The one that we canceled the contract, now we finna renew a temporary contract.
Kirkland's,
Yeah.
I don't know how long Kirkland's has been under contract with the city.
Can you find out how long, I mean, I'm talking about after the contract was over, canceled, how long were they still working for us since we canceled the contract?
I'd have to check on the date, but I think the temporary PO, there was a lapse for a little bit of time while we had to work through the purchasing process in that period of time, and I think that temporary PO has been in place for a couple of months. I think it came in place in June, but I'd have to confirm that.
Can you find out for sure how long this same company that we denied, how long they've been doing temporary pest control?
Certainly.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman. I don't see any more lights or it's denoting questions for Mr. Holland. Thank you, Mr. Holland. Mr. Bailey. You want to come up here? We don't have anything on the agenda for you. I just wanted to say hello.
Thank you, sir. That's so kind.
You doing all right?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
It's always great to hear you're doing okay. If you're doing okay, I'm doing okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Bailey?
When's our payment list gonna be out?
Soon.
I was going to ask that.
Way to go.
Soon?
Yes, you're not the only council person that's asked that question.
Is that a date or what?
No, I've actually asked my team as of today. One of your colleagues asked the same question earlier, and we've got to finalize our list and put it out to bid, and that's typically when we bring it to you. We don't want to preview any projects until we know what our final pricing is, because we don't want to get out of the box with any promises before we know that we can pay for all of them. That so far hasn't happened. Every year we've been able to do everything that we promised, but just to be sure, that's the way we do it.
I'm a little confused. Forgive me, but last budget year's money, the budget we passed last July, not just this budget we passed last June, excuse me, has all that money been used for paving already?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so what you're doing now is
Fiscal year
lining
20.
up the money for the budget we just passed?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Byrd?
Blythe, I have some things coming up in Park City for 28th Street and Cannon Street, and I was wondering if we can have a conversation maybe later. It doesn't have to happen right now about the
Certainly.
traffic calming.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
I'll hang around after the meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anybody else got anything? Got anything for us?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we're adjourned till 6 o'clock.